Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're going to mix a sample beat right inside of FL Studio, but we're going to use a mixture of free and paid plugins. So you could apply this to any DAW. So firstly, let's just listen to the beat and listen to what needs to be prioritized or turned down. So the first step is just sending everything to the mixer so that we can turn stuff up and turn stuff down. So let's hit Control L after we double click. Hit Control L, everything will go to the mixer. In my mixer, I have everything routed to what's called a mix bus. So I highlight all these tracks, hit Control, left click and highlight in FL Studio, and then right click the up arrow at the bottom. I'm going to route to this track only. That will send all of those tracks to what's called a mix bus in this case. So now all the sounds, I can just level them up or level them down pretty quickly here. So let's preview the beat and then I'll turn stuff up. Again, I'm turning my headphones up so I can hear stuff louder than usual. And then I'll start turning stuff down. Also on my master, I have a limiter just for the video, but also it helps me to turn stuff down. All right, so now I have everything leveled for the most part. I separated the sample out so that we could address the sample by itself. Now on the actual mixing of the production, I have the sample widened out with the Cooper Time Cube plugin, so it sounds nice and wide. So let's just start by taking care of any frequencies that may be too jarring with this sample group. So again, you could hit Alt and then right click on your group once your group sounds together, and it will unlock the entire group. So here's where I would use what's called a dynamic EQ. If you want a free one, there's TDR Nova, which is free. I'll show you how to use this, but then I'll use whatever I'm going to use here. So you could do what's called a band solo. And there's certain frequencies that are harsh in this sample, and I want to say it's around 3K. So as I up the Q, it's called, or the bandwidth, as I comb through, you'll start to hear it go like, and it gets a lasery loud, and that's the frequency we need to take care of. So right about 15K, 1500, I mean. Okay, so 1500, there's just too much energy to where it's piercing. So I'm going to use what's called the threshold here to lower this down. This is called a dynamic EQ. So all I'm doing is just turning the volume down when the energy gets too high. I'm not cutting out at all times. I'm only cutting when the energy goes above a certain point. And that's to tame the sound. Okay, so it doesn't get harsh in that area. So here's the difference. So now it feels more smooth on the ear. Also, this sample has a lot of bass in it. I didn't realize. So if we open up our 808, for example, and then let's find our 808 things right here. You'll remember from our EQ section that you have masking going on. So let's figure out the lows. And if we need the lows, then we'll keep them. But if not, we'll get rid of the lows. So let's add a point here. So that's a lot of lows. Now they're not so thick to where they could be conflicting with the 808. But there is information in the lows. So let's say you wanted to take care of that. You would use a low shelf in this case and just turn down the volume just to kind of slowly fade out the low end. You don't need to take it all the way away because then it can make the sample sound thin. Okay, so on the 808, we could add a little more energy to it. You could use any saturation plugin you like. There's no one saturation plugin that I favor over others. I just use FabFilter because it is what it says it is, and I don't have to dig through a bunch of settings. So what we're gonna do is just go to either saturation mode, transformer mode, or tape mode. So I'm gonna start with tape mode on clean tape first. You can see it's a pretty aggressive sound, so let's go to subtle, tape. Let's drive the signal going into the tape. So it creates more harmonics. Turn down the output. Okay, so you have to determine, do you like the sound or not? There's also Thermionic Culture Vulture by UA, which is really good. Probably the best saturator I've heard for 808s. Arturia made a version of it, but it does not sound the same. I'll exaggerate this effect. Turning up the drive. Feel that rumble? It adds that rumble to the sound. Then you can blend it in with the mix level here. It's one of my favorite 808 saturators. If you can't, grab that one, there's another one called Decapitator by Sound Toys. Let's see. Decapitator, here it is. So there's multiple modes at the bottom. We're just going to turn up the drive. Switch out the modes. I think T stands out the most. I also like the P and the T mode. Different songs require different modes. It's a little hard to hear. I'll solo it, but we're not going to focus on this because this is just one effect. So here's just different modes. I'll mute my mic. So we're getting more harmonics out of the E. Sounds like fold back distortion here. This one has the harmonics, but it's not as bright, so that's why I like it. And this one just sounds a little more compressed. So that's what we're adding to the 808. And in context, though, it's how does it stand out? We're not listening to the micro details. Okay, so now I'm listening to listen for anything else that needs correcting. So far, I can't hear anything that needs correction. Let's load up K-Clip. We're going to drive the signal going into K-Clip. We're going to soften out the sound with the soft clipper. Not soften the sound, but hit it with the soft clipper. You can hear that 808 just fall apart because we're pushing it too hard. Let's turn this down. to take off some of the effect. It was just too bitey sounding. Now I'm muting the bass to hear the rest of the mix. And here's where I'm going to separate the instruments from the bass because I want to process the melody outside of the bass. So let's create a thing that says melody. And basically I'm going to send all of the sound making things here. So the sample's going to go here, you know, all the other samples too. I didn't realize we had 3 snares, so I turned the third down as a group. So most of the instruments are samples, so really I don't need a melody group. I could just use the sample group and route that back to the output. Just delete that group. So here I'm just going to take care of, I'm going to compress the sound because it's a cool sample, but it's fighting against some of the drums. You can see, once I boost that bass, you can hear how much bass is still in the sample. So I'm just compressing the sounds just so they're not overly fighting with the beat. All right, let's check out the DNA of this kick. The kick feels like it has a lot of sub. So the kick lives around 40 hertz. And the problem with that is the 808 also lives around 40 hertz. So let's boost this up. So they're both trying to fight for that 40 hertz space. What you could do, and I need to plug in my iLok, which is right here. So what I'll do is plug in my iLok so that we can open up a plugin called Soothe. You don't necessarily need Soothe. There's many ways to do this, but Soothe has a very fast reaction, and I'll show you how to sidechain your kick to your 808 using Soothe. And what that will do is every time the kick hits, it will turn down the volume of the 808. So let's load up Soothe. Let's find our 808 firstly. And let's load up Soothe. Now, hopefully my iLok works. If it doesn't work, I'll use a different plugin. Okay, so this works. So what we'll do is we need to reset this. So let's find out how to go to default and factory default. I guess that is their default. Okay, so what we're going to do is just get rid of all these points here. Let's just turn these off. So all I want is for Soothe to listen to the low frequency. So I'm going to add a low frequency curve. Let's do 40 dB per octave, and anything below, let's do a high cut or low pass curve. And let's listen to anything below a certain point. Let's say 100 hertz, where the kick mostly lives. We're going to have this be really fast, fast attack, fast release. And I'm going to change out the settings here, but we want it to turn the side chain on and then go to the settings, and we need to route the kick to the 808. So let's find the kick. Here's the kick. We're going to right click and side chain to this track, the 808 track. Go back into Soothe, go into the settings here, go to processing, and then where it says side chain input, we're going to right click, select our kick. As long as you have side chain on, now this will work. So every time the kick hits, if it has overlapping frequencies with the 808, it will turn them down. So I'm going to put it on harsh mode. So now the kick hits with its force and the 808 tail lives, but it gets rid of that 40 overlap. Let's do it before and after. Here's before Soothe. So now every time that kick hits, it will live in that 40 zone, and it will avoid the 808 so they don't clash and cause phase cancellation or phase addition too. Or I should say amplifying itself on each other too, because that's just as bad as the wave canceling. All right, so now I'm going to listen through and just add any little touches. So now I'm thinking mix bus level stuff, clipping, EQ. We're going to load up the Your EQ, one of my favorite EQs, and then compression. I don't think this track needs compression because we're using synthetic drums. If I had more acoustic drums, I would consider more compression. But I'm going to load up. One of the plugins I do like is their Colin MB. I like messing with this. Sometimes I find it useful. Sometimes we don't need it. So we'll have the clipping, EQ, and then actually let's do EQ after compression. I'm not going to use a bus compressor on this one because I don't think it needs it. And then we're going into a limiter at the end. Okay, so let's start from, let's start mixing the whole thing. Also, I forgot a stereo imager. So let's load up the SSL stereo image plugin. This is a really good plugin. All right, let's play before and after. Here's before. All right, let's turn the plugins back on. All right, so that's how I would mix that beat. Little touches here and there. Thank you for watching. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Peace.